back to chronology. After the debate, did Governor Maura Haley reach out to you?
Yes.
In one of those books that we were talking about, Original Sin, it is reported that Governor Haley said anyone who watched that debate, the images are irretrievable. Does that reflect what Governor Haley said to you?
I don't know the exact words she used, but she was very, very concerned about the president's prospects for re-election post the debate. She wasn't alone.
I know I've asked versions of this question previously, but I want to make sure that it covers the entire time frame that we're talking about. When people were reaching out to you, is it only because they were worried about the prospects of the president being reelected, or did anybody reach out and say, is the president healthy? Is he able to do the job? Is he okay?
People did ask, is he okay? I don't remember any conversations when someone questioned his ability to do the job.
Okay. Who do you remember asking you if the president was okay?
I think that would be a natural part of any of these conversations we've talked about post-debate, because no one, including myself and his team, had ever seen anything like it before, and they wanted to make sure that he was okay. And his doctor and he had conversations and did whatever they decided to do to ensure that he was okay. But I think it's a natural question to say, is the president okay? But I want to be clear, I do not have any recollection of anyone questioning whether the president could do his job.
So was it your response to convey the information that President Biden had spoken with his doctor and the doctor said he was okay?
I'm sure I did some version of that.
And this is the same doctor who missed President Biden's cancer diagnosis for 4 years?
The president's doctor is Dr. O'Connor.
Did any other governor reach out to you with similar concerns as Governor Haley?
Yes. I believe Governor Walz, because he was the head of the Democratic Governors Association. I don't know. I had regular contact with a lot of the governors going back to my COVID days, because they were really the point for implementation. So I have strong governor relationships. I don't know who else I talked to during that period of time. There was a meeting of the Democratic governors in the Roosevelt Room, a week or so later.
Did you have any conversation with Governor Newsom?
I don't recall, quite possibly because he is one of those governors that I talked to. I mean, the California COVID response was obviously, given the size of that state, one of the more complicated responses.
Did you have any conversations with Governor Pritzker?
Again, likely someone who I worked closely with during the COVID response and did have somewhat regular contact with.
Did you have any conversations with Governor Shapiro?
I don't think on Shapiro. Shapiro was not part of the COVID response. It was Governor Wolf at the time. So I didn't have that pre-existing relationship. I did work with Governor Shapiro quite a bit towards the last year of the administration, but I don't think I had as much regular contact with him around that. Much of this was in the back part of the year on U.S. Steel and some other issues. So I don't know. It's possible, but less likely than the others.
And what about Vice President Harris? I'm talking about the time frame after the debate until President Biden announced that he was dropping out of the race. Did you ever speak with the Vice President during that time?
I'm sure I did, yeah.
Did you ever have any conversations with her regarding the president's debate in particular?
I'm sure I did.
Do you remember the contents of those conversations?
I don't have any specific recollection. I would assume we talked about what the whole team was talking about, which is how do we recover from this from a public perception perspective? How do we get him out there in the right settings? But I don't have any specific.
Did you ever discuss with Vice President Harris any kind of contingency in which President Biden would drop out?
I did not.
Did you ever speak with Doug Emhoff about President Biden's debate?
I don't have any specific recollection, but probably yes.
Same question. Did you ever have any conversations about any contingency in which Joe Biden would drop out?
No.
Did you ever have any conversations with anybody about a contingency? What would happen if Joe Biden dropped out of the race?
Well, with the president, particularly when he decided to do it. But I mentioned I talked to him, or he knew my view that I thought he should get out of the race. Therefore, you talk about if you drop out, what happens, but I don't remember any specifics, so I don't want to.
And when did you communicate your view? I know that you had kept it to yourself for a period.
Yeah. It's fair to say within a few days after the debate, he was aware of my view that I thought it was prudent to consider getting out of the race.
Did you feel that you were, after you communicated that, communicated that the president communicated less with you after you communicated that view?
No.
Did you advocate for the president to be more public facing after the debate?
We all did. And some, even more extreme than others, but the plan was about how do we get him out there more. We talked about immediately following the debate, the event in North Carolina. But there were, he held a press conference. He did a lot of different things that were meant to build back public confidence that he was the right person to be the next president of the United States.
There's been some reporting that there was a disagreement between you and Mr. Klain about the president's decision to go to Camp David, where I believe a photo shoot occurred. Is that accurate?
I do recall that. I don't know if that's from prep or press coverage, but Ron and I sometimes had friction around not the general path, but Ron always wanted to go, not always, oftentimes wanted to go faster and harder, which, is a perspective. I think he wanted to go faster and even harder at this issue of getting him out there. So we weren't disagreeing on the general strategy. I guess there was some disagreement around the pace. If I'm recalling the dates right, Thursday night was the debate. We talked about Friday. The Camp David weekend was that weekend. And I think part of my calculus was, he's been under the weather. Let's give him a little bit of time and then hit the ground running.
Do you think it's fair to say Mr. Klain was more bullish on President Biden's prospects at this point than you were?
I think it's fair to say that Ron thought the president should absolutely stay in the race. I don't know where that goes to prospects, but I've mentioned that I thought the more prudent thing was for him to exit.
Did you go to Camp David during that time?
That weekend?
Mm-hmm.
No.
You know who did?
I don't know. President always has a member of the senior team with him. So that could be Annie Tomasini, it could be Bruce Reed. But I don't know who was responsible that weekend.
Ms. Tomasini